Hey everyone, Mo checking in with another video for the Bodybuilding 101 series. This time the topic is strength training versus hypertrophy training. So just to lay that out there, strength training is exactly what it sounds like. It's training to increase your strength. Whereas hypertrophy is just a fancy scientific word for gaining size, putting on actual muscle mass. And training differently can lead to either one or the other, and some training splits even allow for a little bit of both, a little bit of strength addition and a little bit of size addition. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just keep them separate. So let's start with strength training. Strength training can be done by anybody, athletes, bodybuilders, and of course, strongmen or powerlifters. So strength training involves training with heavier weights, very heavy weights, for fewer reps. And usually, not all the time, but usually fewer sets. That's not always the truth. So if I were to strength train, let's say I want to increase my deadlift. I would do a strength training protocol, which there are so many out there. There's Wendler's 531. There's Smolov, which is good for putting on strength. Westside Barbell has many programs that are great for putting on strength, followed by a lot of powerlifters. So if I wanted to put on strength, of course, if I want to get stronger, I've got to increase the amount of weight that I use every time I go to the gym, right? I can't expect to get stronger if I go do deadlifts with 225 pounds week after week after week. I have to continue pushing myself. So that's what strength training allows you to do. Strength training, you probably need more rest to do it. In order to put on strength, you really need to be getting good rest, eating well, eating a lot. I wouldn't strength train or hypertrophy train for that matter on a caloric deficit. It's really not going to get you anywhere. So make sure you're probably in a bulk or at least a caloric surplus in order to do this effectively. So I would go to the gym and I would do probably, like I said, lower reps. So I would maybe do, let's say 3 or 4 sets. In the first set, I would use a weight, for example, 225 pounds, that I can do for a low number of reps, like 5. So I would do 225 pounds for 5 reps. But then I would increase the weight, say 275. Let's say that was difficult for me. Then I would do that for, let's say, 3 reps. And that's because that's all I could do, right? It shouldn't be 3 easy reps. It should be challenging. And then I would maybe do 1 rep, maybe 1 or 2 reps with an even heavier weight. For example, 315 or 330. I would do an even heavier weight for a 1 rep max, hopefully. And every week, you should, little by little, increase all of those. Now, the program that I kind of just laid out there was like Wendler's 531. Similar to that. That was kind of a knockoff of it. You'd have to look it up if you're interested. But that's the point, is doing a weight that is difficult for you. You shouldn't strength train with weight that you would use to hypertrophy train with. And I think that's what people get confused about. They think, hey, I'm going to do strength training. They think that, and this is understandable, they think that you're only changing the number of reps you're doing, but you use the same weight. But that's not increasing your strength. You also have to up the weight. And that's a major component of it. That's a typical downfall that I've seen. And like I said, it's completely understandable. There's a lot of information out there, and it's hard to keep it separate sometimes. Now, hypertrophy training is where I'm a little bit more, I guess, of an expert in, because it's what I do more often than not. Hypertrophy training is going to be, you're going to kind of do that typical rep and set scheme that you maybe saw in my last video, where you're going to do 3 sets of, 8 to 12 reps per body part, over whatever your split is, for back, for biceps, for chest, all of that. And that increases muscular size, your muscle size, as opposed to your strength. So strength training really trains your nervous system, right? It allows you to move heavier weights, right? And that's more of training your nervous system. Whereas hypertrophy training really it's more geared toward the muscle and increasing muscle size. So the reason that higher reps and usually a higher number of sets and basically higher volume increases muscle size is because it creates more time under tension. If I decide to strength train and I deadlift 370 pounds for 1 rep and put it down, that's all I did. My back or my hamstrings aren't going to grow because of that one rep. However, if I do 225 pounds for 3 sets of 10, that's more time under tension, and I'll do a video on that later, that my muscle is under, so it's more damage to the muscle in a good way, micro tears to the muscle, and therefore it heals more. So that is the difference, guys, between strength training and hypertrophy training. Strength training, heavy weights for very few reps, and you increase that as the weeks go on. And hypertrophy training is going to be more of your higher volume, right? You're going to do more reps for each set and more often, typically, and that will cause a gain in size. So hope that made sense, guys. If not, let me know. Like I mentioned in the last video, taking requests if you need them. Enjoy.